Hi everybody, welcome back to video number 2 for Thursday, February the 4th. What I'd like to do in this particular segment of the video presentation is I want to focus on how are you going to deliver your bad news or unfavorable news for the case study assignment, everybody. And I'd like to focus on pages 256 onwards. And I would argue for this particular one, what you want to use is the indirect approach for your case study assignment. Remember last week when we were talking about those two different approaches that you could take, the direct or the indirect? I would argue for this one, you need to focus on the indirect approach, everybody. And if I can just have you take a look at the textbook, page 256, I want to reiterate why I feel that the indirect approach is the best method to use when delivering the messages for this particular assignment, everybody. And you will notice right in sort of the center of that page under using the indirect approach, you're going to use this approach when you don't know the reader well. The bad news is not anticipated by the reader, and you anticipate what could be a strong negative reaction from the reader. So our reader, everybody, again, is are the conference attendees, okay? So we're talking about the possibility of a large amount of people coming to this conference. We don't know the reader well, okay? We probably don't know them at all. They're not anticipating this type of news being delivered to them, right? They're anticipating that these people in the AI and neural science fields are going to be there to deliver their presentations, okay? And we've got the possibility that they're not going to be happy with the news that we're delivering. We're going to anticipate that there's going to be some sort of strong reaction from them. So that's why I would argue that the indirect approach is applicable for case study number 7 that we have been assigned. Okay, so the chapter goes on, everybody talks a little bit about the buffers that you use. Okay, how are you going to deliver this message to them? And at the top of page 257, everybody, they go through with the scenario, how it's going to lay out. Okay, so you've got your opening. Remember, in any kind of writing that we do, we've always got to have an opening, that middle part, okay, and then our closing to finalize the whole message. Okay, so we've got that 4-part structure for the indirect approach. Everybody, top of page 257, please make sure that you are familiar with that. And then we need to go on and explain the bad news. Okay, so now we know that these conference presenters aren't going to be able to attend. And how do we explain the bad news? Okay, so they talk a little bit at the bottom of page 257 about sticking to the facts, everybody. This is something that you have no control over. The government has said due to the nationality of these individuals, they were unsure about their work history, etc. So it's not something that the conference has decided. This is something that the government of Canada has decided, that anybody nationals of specific countries may not be able to attend or come into our country due to some sort of political issue that they may be facing. Okay, and this is with the visas, right? So you want to make sure you stick to the facts, right? This was a Government of Canada decision. Refer to company policy as needed if you need to, but don't hide behind it. And make sure that you use positive words, everybody. Remember, it's that positive image that you want to portray. Okay, so using positive or neutral words. Keep the negativity out of that because that sort of breeds negativity. Okay, so you want to present it in more of a positive light. Okay, they go on to talk about or give you types of bad news buffers that you can take a look at. Please make sure you read that in your textbook. They go on to talk about revealing the bad news and how are you going to reveal that, everybody? Okay, how are you going to present that in your written work? And you'll notice on page 260, everybody, they talk about using that positive language. That's what it all boils down to. Avoid spotlighting the bad news, everybody. Really focus on the positive of this. So how are you going to How are you going to portray that? Okay. How are you going to get that across in your written work, so that these conference attendees are thinking, you know what, that's not such a bad thing. We're still going to get to see these people present. We may just not have the opportunity to see them live. Okay. So what are some of the pros and cons of seeing people live versus somebody maybe live streaming? Okay. What are the benefits, pros and cons? Take a look at it from that perspective, everybody. And I did give the example yesterday in class for those of you that were there. Elliot is a sports fan, and his favorite team is the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And I said to Elliot, give me a name of somebody. He gave me the name of Zach. Can't remember the last name, sorry, Elliot. But Zach is a player on the team, and Zach would potentially come to Medicine Hat. So I said, okay, Elliot, think of it this way. You've taken the day off work. You're going to go and meet your sports hero. You're going to have your picture taken with them. You're going to connect with them. You're going to meet them. Oh my God, this is so exciting and amazing. And Zach couldn't come to Medicine Hat from Regina because of a snowstorm on the Trans-Canada and the highways closed. How would Elliot feel? Okay. Elliot would be absolutely gutted. He would be destroyed. He couldn't meet his sports hero. Okay, so how do you, as the conference presenter, conference organizer, get the message across to Elliot, letting Elliot know that his hero isn't coming to town, but he's got the option to live stream them, everybody. Okay, so how do we do that as a business person? So you really need to put on your business hat, everybody, when we're talking about how are we going to deliver this unfavorable news. Okay, they go on to talk about Goodwill Closing. So that 4-part process with the opening, your middle parts, and then your closing. Okay, how are you going to get your message across and still maintain that connection with people, right? So that Goodwill Closing. They talk about not repeating the bad news. You've already opened up with it. You've talked about it. Don't make that part of your closing as well. Don't remind them, okay, of that bad news. Again, keep that positivity going, right? Keep that flow going. How do you make people still want to attend your conference, still want to be there? Okay. They go on to talk about indirect approach message. Okay. How can you get that across? They talk about some limitations of it. So please make sure that you are conscious of that part of the chapter. And how are you going to get that message across, everybody? Remember, you've got 4 messages to do. So you've really got to think about this, place yourself in that situation, because this is a real life business situation, everybody. This happens a lot, and you may be that person who is organizing a particular conference. Okay, so case study assignment due next Thursday. Let's put ourselves in that indirect approach and focus on that kind of strategy when we're putting these 4 messages together, everybody. How are we going to do that so that we limit the negativity that may come out of it? Okay, people are obviously going to be upset that they're not there, but you're doing your best to amend the situation to make it the best possible that you can. So, pardon me, make sure that you really focus on that chapter, everybody, and go back to that case study at the beginning of the chapter. Okay, I know I've mentioned it before, but really put yourself in that position, and how would you feel, okay, if that were to happen to you? Okay, so make sure you take a look at that. Delivering unfavorable news, common thing in the business world. I'm going to post to this lecture an email that was sent out recently at Medicine Hat College here, where they were delivering some unfavorable news, and I'd like you to take a look at that. Okay, and maybe make some notes on it. Tell me what you think of the message that was delivered, and we can talk about that a little bit more. So, ending this particular video, everybody, indirect strategy is what I want you to look at. I really feel that this particular scenario is more of the indirect versus the direct approach. Okay. And if you want to compare them and say, why is Linda going that route? You can take a look at the direct approach as well at the bottom of page 262. One of the points that they make is that the direct approach reflects something where the bad news is not serious, significant, or detrimental to the reader. I would argue that in this particular situation, it is. Okay, so take a look at the comparisons of the two, but I really think you need to focus on the direct approach. Indirect approach to this situation, and anticipate that you're going to have some negative feedback coming to you. Okay, so what I'd like to do is that'll be the end of chapter 8. Okay, next week, so Tuesday, February the 9th. I was going to look at my calendar. I forgot what day it was going to be. Tuesday, February the 9th, everybody. What I'd like to do is I'd like to start in on chapter 7. So we've talked about delivering that unfavorable news. We've started with the negative, okay, getting that word out there. How do we do it? What I'd like to do now is I want to talk about delivering routine or goodwill messages, okay, and that is in chapter 7. So we're going to start that next Tuesday, everybody. Please take a look at that. Be ready to go with that on Tuesday. We're going to take a look at another case study on page 212. Okay, and I'm also going to look at some other good news or goodwill messages that have been delivered and the impact that those have had on businesses today. And I think once we start looking at it more and more, you're going to realize that this is a very common part of business today, and we need to have people in place who can communicate these type of messages to not only our internal people, our employees, but also our external, our stakeholders, and everybody else that's out there as well too. And we use social media a lot for that. So that is going to be next week, everybody. So chapter 7, please make sure that you are ready to go with that on Tuesday. So 2 videos for you to take a look at this week, everybody. Please make sure you do so. Take a look at that case study assignment. I will get the rubric in there as well too, showing you what I'm going to be looking for when I'm marking this particular assignment. And yeah, that's chapter 8. And then next week, everybody, chapter 7. So please make sure you're ready to go for that on Tuesday. I hope you all have a great weekend. It's supposed to be very cold here this weekend. Looking outside, we've had a bit of snow. I guess winter's here for another month, everybody. So take care, and I will talk to you all on Tuesday. Thank you. Bye-bye.